So once you have created your app inside of Thunkable, you might be interested in publishing it as a web app so that it can be used through the web. A nice thing to be able to do for this is to hook it up to an existing domain. And so a domain is what you enter in inside of the URL here. So what I've done is hook up I bought a domain, and now whenever you type in SENDTH.AT, which is the same as the name of the app, it will take you straight to this app and this URL. I'm hoping one day we can mask this URL so it remains what I just entered, but for now we can only do forwarding. Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. 3 parts to this. We need to generate a link that we can point to that will host your app. Then we need to search for a domain that we can use, and in case you don't already have one. And then I'll show you how to forward that domain to the Thunkable link that we created in step 1. So for the first step, generating a public link. This is a pro feature, and I went pretty in depth on this one in my review, this other video that I will have linked and in a card. That's titled, I made a cross-platform mobile and web app with Thunkable. In this video, I show you how to publish it as a web app and kind of give you feedback and kind of thoughts to think about when you're making your app a web app. So be sure to check out that video. But the highlight reel for that one is once you are a pro member, you can come to publish here and publish as a web app and generate a link and publish it. So that will generate this link right here. And one thing you'll want to do to make sure it's a responsive web app, if you're trying to do that, is go to responsive web app and make sure you press publish current version. And then now when we come to this, it will be a responsive web app. And so now we have this nice little URL here. And so this is what we need. So I'm going to copy that. And then that's step 1, which is generating the link. And so now when we plug this into any other browser, it'll bring us to our app. So now what we want to do is hook up a domain that will then point to that. And so we can do that by going to a lot of different domain registrars is what they're called. But what I use and what is pretty much an industry standard is GoDaddy. What you do is you come here and you want to find a domain. And so for me, I found my domain before I titled my app. What I did was search for things like send this and see if anything came up. And SENDTH.AT is very, very expensive, so I am not going to use that. I also tried out like ShareThat, and ShareThat was available, but I liked SENDTH better. And so a little hint here to get really cheap domains is to not use a .com, because .coms tend to be more expensive. Especially if they're very short phrases, like even this one, Shareth is already taken .com, and you can hopefully maybe get access to one by paying someone $70 to try and contact this person. But anyways, what you want to do is find something that works for you that you want to be the name of the domain that's going to point to that. So once you have found a domain and you want to use it, you've bought it and all that good stuff, you can go to your account here in GoDaddy and come to manage domains, and that'll list all the domains that you have purchased through GoDaddy. And you can come to your new domain and come to the little 3 cog here, and we want to go to manage DNS because that's where we can add this forwarding URL. And then once you're inside of DNS management, I don't really remember if I changed anything here, but you can make sure yours looks like me. The 2 that are going to be important for you are the CNAME for www. So that's a custom name for if they add www in front of your domain. We want to send that to the root, which is represented by this @ symbol. And then the @ symbol, the A name, should be pointed at the IP address, which is actually what your domain is pointing to. That's that. Make sure that looks the same. And then to forward, basically in GoDaddy, you come down here to the bottom and the current layout, come to forwarding. And right now, my root domain is forwarding to the URL that was created inside of Thunkable through their publish as a web app. What I chose for that was, and yours will be blank if you're starting this out. We can do a forward to, and really this should be a permanent forward and forward only. So right now we cannot forward with masking. Thunkable has some of that locked down, but really this is good for you because that means that other people can't forward to your URL and mask that with their URL, so people aren't using your app without you knowing about it and they're not claiming it as their own. Put in your URL, make it permanent and forward only, and then click save. It's going to take, I think the kind of standard, they always say 24 hours. What I've found is it usually takes between 20 and maybe 2 hours for that change to happen. Once it happens, you can go in and enter in your URL and that will be forwarded to your app. And so that, my friends, is the 3-step process for finding a domain, buying the domain, and forwarding that domain to your Thunkable web app. So if you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you stuck around for this whole kind of video series where I showed you how to create this SENDTH.AT from start to finish, thanks for joining me on this, and I really hope that you learned something. You learned some things that will help you create an app of your own, and then be sure to share that app with me and others, because that's really what I want this channel to be about. I want it to be a community where we can all learn, create, and share from each other. So if you want to check out all the videos in the series, I'll be sure to share a link down at the bottom. And with that, I'll go ahead and end it with saying happy coding.